Right, now according to the World Health Organization, every 40 seconds a person commits suicide, which translates to about 800,000 deaths annually worldwide. Although 79% of the world's suicide cases occurred in low and middle income countries, high income countries had the highest rate at 11.5 deaths per 100,000. Here in Africa, Lesotho tops the list with highest rates of suicide at 21.2 deaths in every 100,000 population. In East Africa, Uganda has the highest rate with 9.9 deaths linked to suicide in every 100,000. When reviewed through a gender lens, male suicide cases tend to be significantly higher than female rates around the world. However, in Lesotho, the rate of female suicides is higher at 24.4, while reported male cases stand at 17.8 in every 100,000. Nigeria, Sierra Leone and Uganda show very close rates of suicide between men and women. In its 2017 report, the World Health Organization said only 60 of its member states had vital registration data good enough for the direct estimate of suicide rates. Most of Africa lacks the infrastructure necessary to deal with this mental health problem. Now let's get a deeper take on the issue of mental health on the African continent. I'm joined here in studio by Silas Kiriinya. He's a consultant counseling psychologist and CEO of Amazon Counseling Center here in Kenya. Silas, thank you for joining us today. Okay, so these are alarming statistics we are getting. What are the factors contributing to these rising cases of depression and suicide?
Yeah, I think as you said, there is a lot of mental issues that are happening in Africa, and let me say in the world, because mental issues are not basically about Africa, is something that affects every other person in the entire world. Now, there are different factors that contribute to mental health issues, and particularly like there is life, the high standards of life that we are living nowadays, the disintegration of the social fabric. For example, African culture is known very well, to emphasize on family and all that. And so you realize there's a lot of movement into towns and urbanization. And so all these are actually contributing to mental health issues. And so people respond to that in different ways. So, for example, we are talking about suicide literally being the, scaling at the moment. Because many people feel like they are so helpless and they don't know where to seek help, or they don't have the proper information. They don't have infrastructure to help them deal with the helplessness that they are experiencing. So that's why most people are thinking of suicide.
And here in Kenya, we're increasingly seeing more young people committing suicide. What does that say about the stresses of modern life?
Yes, there's a lot of stress, definitely, because the culture that we are living in now encourages a lot of competitiveness. And therefore, you realize that people are competing in everything, and in particular, the young people, they want to look good, they want to appear the best in whatever form. There is also relationship breakup that is happening among the young people, and somehow they do not know how to deal with that because the skills of resilience have not been really empowered enough. There is also substance use. Of course, we have what we call substance use psychosis, which is kind of mental illness that you get when you use substance. Like a lot of weed is being used in almost every celebration in our universities and schools. And therefore, because of that, you realize that people have gotten to a point that they do not know how to deal with that all helplessness, the addictions that they are going through, and therefore there is what we are seeing, people committing suicide. But also, I think it's good we consider even the pressure that young people are facing in schools, in the universities, at home. Everybody expects you to be the best, but at the same time, you're grappling with so much in life and you don't know how to deal with that.
Okay.
And because of what I mentioned, the fabric of our society is not as strong as it was before. And so they do not know where to go to, they don't know who to talk to. And so ultimately, we see young people committing suicide.
All right, so what I'm getting from you ultimately is people not knowing where and how to get help. In other parts of the world, they have elaborate support systems to help such people. But here in Africa, what can African countries and governments do to create accessible support systems or coping mechanisms?
One of the main things I think that the government should do in Africa is create a lot of awareness so that people get to know that mental illness is not a weakness as we perceive it in Africa, because African culture always has emphasized on people being very strong, fighting whatever it is that is happening in their lives. And so we have gotten to a point that there is a lot of pressure and we are not able to deal with that. So the government should create a lot of awareness for people to know that what mental health issues are. And then after doing that, we need to lay down structures that are able to provide psychological support. We need to have hospitals. We need to have in our medical cover resources and policies that are able to allow that, so that people can come in and get supported. Okay. The other thing also, we need to create even lines that are open, so that at any point of the day or night, when someone is experiencing a lot of helplessness, is able to call and get assisted. That need to be put in place. Of course, we need also policies that are able to support and minimize victimization that people with mental health experience in Africa.
You took it right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you what kind of policies are needed in the continent actually to facilitate people to access this help.
Yeah, so other countries actually have a robust, policies that are able to take care of their population or their populace. But in Africa, you come to realize that mental health is not a priority. So we focus on what we would call medical problems, like you have cancer, you have all these other illnesses, so you know where to go to. But then when it comes to mental illnesses, at times we do not know what to do with that. So there must be policies that are really robust and well researched, that are able to provide platforms for the people to get help, and especially the young people.
All right, Silas, thank you very much for that. Silas Kiriinya in studio.